Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Yana. I'm one of the registered nurses. It's another pajama morning talk video. I think I should make like a separate list of videos, me talking in pajamas. But really, this is the most clearest and awakened moment for me because it's the beginning of the day. It's morning, I'm fresh, my mind is sharp and ready to share the information. Okay, in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about things I wish I knew as a grad registered nurse before starting my grad program with Queensland Health. If you're new to my channel, just a brief summary about me. I work as a registered nurse now, second year at public hospital with Queensland Health. In particular, it's a Metro North area, and I work in the general medicine. I really like my ward. It's a very hectic ward, but I do learn there a lot. So in this video, I just want to talk about things that I wasn't ready, I wasn't prepared, and I didn't know about when starting my grad year. And the first thing is modules. Oh my gosh, like in my hospital, we had 9 modules to complete throughout the year. And the size of those modules, they were enormous, ridiculously big. Like, I've never seen anything like that before. And on top of that, we needed to do one essay, which was, I think, by the end of the year, and then one assessment is like a reflection. They wanted 1,500 words on that, and then essay, I think they wanted from 2.5 to 3K words on essay. So it's pretty much like essay that you would write at uni with all the references and things like that. We as grads, we were not ready for that. I did not know that I would have 9 modules. I knew that I would have modules because as a clinical student, I went to different hospitals for practice, for clinical placements, and I've heard people talking, you know, about grads, that there are modules that you need to complete, obviously, during your grad year. But I didn't know that for my particular hospital that I applied for, the number of modules was 9. Okay, that was really hard. Okay, the second thing that I didn't know and didn't feel it until I started, you know, didn't feel it on my skin what it's like, is the time of completing these modules. Okay, so I started as a grad RN on 7 shifts every fortnight. That was my shifts, no matter what. That was the amount that I would adhere to every single fortnight. It was a combination of morning and afternoon shifts. I did not do any night shifts up until 6 months of my grad year. And during that time, you know, of my first 6 months, I needed to do my modules during my days off, okay, which was very hard, okay. And I would spend half a day, sometimes every single day, spending a couple of hours or half a day of hours during my days off doing my modules. And that was the hardest part, because as a nurse, as a grad, I would go and I would do combination of mornings and afternoons in 1 week. Obviously, my body needs to sleep, my body needs to rest. I do have a family, I have shopping, I have cleaning, I have laundry to do, you know, and I need rest. Like, my body needs rest in between the shifts. But instead of resting and having time to do my house things as well, to prep myself for the next shift, I was sitting doing modules, because you would need to complete 1 module throughout the months. By the end of the month, you need to submit it. And some of the modules, they were like 35 pages long, really, really long. And that was the saddest part, because, as I said, instead of resting and doing the things that I needed to do in my life, I was basically prepping the modules. And the hospital doesn't pay you for that time. So it's like a double work at home, but it's not paid. So this is something that I didn't like, and I wasn't ready for it. It was very unfair, in my opinion. Throughout the whole year, we had 2 days allocated for studies at home that were paid. They call it T18, I think, day. And it was a, no, not 6, it was an 8-hour pay on a basic rate for that day for you to study at home. But that was not equal to the amount of hours we needed to spend in order to finish all those modules. 2 days throughout the whole year wasn't not nearly even enough, you know. So maybe in the future Queensland Health will change it somehow and make more paid days, because we struggle. Like, we as grads, we struggle. And my hospital, I think, has the highest amount of modules throughout the year for the grads to finish. I've talked to the other people that I know from other hospitals. They have like 5, 6. We have 9. We have 9. This is too much. So I wasn't ready for that. The other thing is shift work. Shift work, I knew I would have a shift work. I knew what I was signing off for, but I didn't feel again on my skin what it's like to be changing shifts like this throughout your fortnight every single month. So before going into grad, I have started in aged care for 3 months, and I had there 8 shifts every fortnight. They were not changeable. They were on the same days every fortnight, the same amount of shifts, and I had 6 mornings and 2 afternoons. So my body already got used to that routine throughout those 3 months. Okay, it was easy for me. I knew that this week I have, let's say, 4 shifts, you know, and they are mornings, and then the next week I would have another 4 shifts, and they are a combination of 2 mornings and 2 afternoons. That's it. I knew my routine. At hospital as a grad, you would be doing AMs, PMs and nights, and more to that is that every month you would have a different roster. Every single month you would have different roster. The only thing that is not going to change is the amount of shifts that you are signed for. As a grad, I was doing 7 shifts every fortnight, so that number was unchangeable. First 6 months I was doing combinations of AM and PMs, and then after 6 months of my practice as a grad, my NAM started putting me on night shifts, and he started, I think, first month 2 shifts only, and then every single month I would have 4 shifts every month, 4 shifts at night. So I would end up having, like, in 1 week, combination of mornings, nights, mornings, afternoons, and that was just hitting my body hard. And the fact that every month is a different roster was not helping at all. It's just making the situation worse, because my body never had routine up until now. Never had routine, you know, but now I'm kind of like getting sort of used to it. But as a grad, it just hit me in my face like that. You know, I did not experience it on my body. I didn't know how my body is going to experience. So I was fatigued at some point. I needed to do my modules as well. So can you imagine, like, coming from work, you're tired, you had a combination of these different shifts, you tired, you need to sleep. One day you coming home at 12 o'clock midnight, you're sleeping at 1. After a day of rest or 2, you're coming back early morning, you need to wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, you know, to go on your shift, sleep early the next day or the same day so you could wake up again early the next day. It was really hard. And on top of all of that, I was catching up on modules as well. So yeah, that was the hardest part, I think. Then something that we didn't know as grads, and I think that was maybe only for my hospital, I can't speak for other hospitals, we had 2 weeks of intensive training at Royal Brisbane Women Hospital. We've been told about this when I was accepted for my grad program, and no, actually not when I was accepted. I was told about it when I was approved to start my contract at the hospital where I am in now. They told us that prior to starting your contract, you will actually need to complete 2 weeks of intensive training. So intensive training, that was intense. Okay, 2 weeks. We would need to wake up every single day. It was Monday to Friday, early. We would need to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning and stay there until 4:30. They were minusing the break. 4:30, you know, you would finish the first part of the day up until lunch break. It was just a quick run through parts of your nursing degree. Like, I should say, like, throughout the 2 weeks, we finished the whole degree in just 2 weeks. So the first part of the day up until lunch, you would go with your teacher throughout multiple topics, you know, remembering, recalling things from your degree, and then you would have your lunch, and then you would come back to the class, and then we would spread to the groups, and we would go to practice rooms. We had multiple practice rooms for different topics, and you would spread into groups to go to those practice rooms. They looked like labs, you know, because it was an education center in Brisbane Women Hospital. They looked like labs, and each group would rotate in between the different rooms. So you would go and you do different practicals. So basically it was like theory, practice, theory, practice. And the practice would go up until about 3 o'clock or so. And then the last hour we would just debrief on our performance, you know, what we could do better, you know, evaluate and all of that. Every single day like that. I was coming home plus my travels, because it takes me not on a traffic day about 50 minutes to get to the city. I live up north. Going back home, it was a peak hours. It would take me 1 hour 20 minutes to get home. By the time I had my dinner, have a shower, whatever, I needed to sleep already so I could wake up the next day to go for the next training day. Then the next shock, that was, I think, to all of us. So by the end of 2 weeks, okay, we had orientation day. Okay, so last Friday of 2 weeks, all of us, I think it was about like 50 or 70 grads on the intensive training, all of us needed to go to our allocated hospitals. So I went to my hospital, and it was 6 of us. Okay, so between those 50 or 70 grads, only 6, they were going to my hospital. None of those 6 went to my ward. I was the only one going to my ward. And we met at 8 o'clock at the cafeteria of my hospital. It was us and the facilitator, and she briefly took us through, you know, what's gonna happen today, you know. She welcomed us, and yeah, and then she said, okay, you're gonna go now to your wards, you're gonna complete the fire training there, you know, evacuation instructions, tick, click and find, whatever. You just go throughout the wards and you look for things where things are, so just familiarize yourself, you know, with surroundings and things, and they give you like a form to tick. And then she said, you just stay on a ward until the end of the shift, and I will come and I'll check on you. And we were like, okay. We did not expect that after that massive intensive training at Royal Brisbane, we needed to actually complete the whole shift. We thought that introduction day is going to be like maybe half a day, a couple of hours, you know, they will show us the wards, the hospital, you know, just like encourage us talk wise, you know, and just let us go home. But no, they actually wanted us to stay the whole shift on a ward, you know, and complete it all and then go home. So we've missed the handover. Obviously the handover was missed because we all came to the wards nearly 9 o'clock. So handover was done, medication round was done, the nurses were going already on a break. My team leader, she has helped me that day to do like evacuation instructions, you know, tick and find, whatever. And then she said, okay, like I can allocate you to a particular nurse, or you can pick someone from the board. We had like our allocations, you know, on a board. You can pick someone and just shadow that nurse till the rest of your shift. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I don't know anyone on a ward. I don't know the ward. I've never been on that ward before, not even as a student. It's my literally first time on a ward. And I needed to find someone who I could shadow, you know, and just complete my shift. My facilitator did not come to me up until the end of the shift. I haven't seen her up until the end of the shift. So I was just on my own, you know, with people who I didn't know, word that I didn't know, missed the handover. It was so uncomfortable. And on top of that, I was so tired from the intensive training that we've done in Royal Brisbane Hospital. I was so tired, like I was just a walking zombie, that walking zombie. The other thing is fears and anxiety, guys. I wasn't prepared for that, okay? I mean, like we all have fears when something unfamiliar, new comes our way, right? But the anxiety that I was hit in during my first, I would say like half a year of grad program, it was crazy. I was anxious about completing my modules in time. I was anxious about talking to doctors. I was scared to talk to doctors. I was anxious about new procedures, or the procedures that I have forgot the details about how to do it in a correct way, you know. I think my biggest fear was taking full responsibility of 4 patients now, because I'm no longer a student, you know. I have no body nurse. behind me, standing behind me, helping me, directing me, teaching me, you know. I was on my own. I was purely responsible now for these 4 souls who are very sick, to do everything they needed to be done throughout my shift. And also on the top of that, watch for any signs of deterioration so I could assess it, address it, and refer it to the treating team. It was very, very hard, like very hard. But the more I practiced, the more better I became. The other thing, it kind of like comes out from this, is feeling dumb. Feeling dumb when talking to doctors. Oh my God, that was like the hardest, I think, for me. Look, talking to the doctors who are residents is kind of easy because they do the residency, they just finished the medical school, they're learning the same as you are. They are bubbly, they are friendly, they are easygoing, you know. But talking to doctors who've been in the industry for like 30, 40 years plus, some of them are real snobs, and the way they look at you, the way they talk to you is unacceptable in my opinion. And I have come across a couple of doctors like that. They still work on my ward, in a matter of fact, and I hate talking to them. Even now, I just don't like talking to them. Like, my approach is different now to talk to them, but it's just the fact that I need to talk to them, it just doesn't make me feel comfortable, you know. And I don't understand why those doctors need to talk to nurses that way, because it doesn't matter how high you are in a career ladder, we still work as a team. In the end of the day, we all have roles, responsibilities, scope of practice, and we practice in those scope of practices, but we all contribute together as a team to the health goals and well-being of our patients, because we have goals, we have a care plan that we have to adhere to for that patient to get better and get out of the hospital free in the bed for the next one, you know. So when the doctors just talk to you that way, that's not a teamwork for me. That's just passive aggressive, you know. They just bring their superiority above you, you know, because what, they are doctors, they're more experienced, whatever. Like, to me, it's just like unacceptable. It shouldn't be this way. So, and can you imagine, like, when you're a grad, it's, you have little experience, right? You still fear of unknown, and here you talk to someone like that, it just makes you feel small, you know. And yeah, I really didn't like it. So that was something that was shocking me, to be honest. The other thing is that time management, okay, problems with time management. And I would say that the problems with time management for me personally was because I did not know the routine on my ward. Believe it or not, but every ward of every hospital has a routine, and that routine kind of is like built by employees who work in that hospital. It's not just nurses, it's your team leader, it's your NAM, it's your physicians, it's your doctors. Like, even the hospital itself has a different vibe to other hospitals, you know. People talk, people act, people behave, people assess in different ways. This is just how it is, okay. And I did not know the routine, okay, in my ward yet. I had good time management skills. I had very good time management skills, something that I'm proud of, because I started practicing my time management skills since I was working as AAN, as an assistant of nursing in aged care sector. Then I have worked as an EN, and then I worked 3 months as a registered nurse in aged care sector before going into my hospital position as a grad. So I had already developed my time management skills. But because I didn't know the routine, I couldn't manage my time efficiently in a way that I would want. You know, I was still kind of feeling lost. I didn't learn yet what I have to prioritize for, you know, which things I need to start earlier, maybe, to which things I needed to give more time. For example, I learned for myself the best time when to do the dressings. You know, I knew already that, okay, in the morning I have like, we'll usually have lots of IVs to give, IV antibiotics and other medication. You know, I've learned that if I start a little bit earlier, you know, I can finish this in that and that time approximately. If I have 2 patients, if I have a heavy load and I have 2 patients or 3 patients on IV antibiotics in the morning, I can actually delegate my cares to a float nurse, and she or he can come and take one of those patients and maybe complete the whole medications for them, including IV. I knew that I need to work in pair with my other nurse who I work together with when we look after 8 patients and sharing it equally for each, that if I talk to them early morning when we check in their charts, we would say, hey, you know, like, do you want to leave like the IV medications last? Let's do all our orals first, knock it off, and then start on IVs and subcuts. And they was like, yeah, okay, let's do that, you know. So you learn. The more you practice, you learn the routine, you know, you try to find the ways that will become efficient in your work and make you complete task in a timely manners, you know. Then you will understand that, okay, doing dressings at this time is better, you know, doing maybe a bladder scanner is better before I go on my break. Or if the team leader comes to you and say, hey, you need to pick up a new admission from a different medical ward, they're gonna be here at, let's say, 12 o'clock. Then you look at your time, you look at your planner, and you might think, okay, well, I might just go on my break maybe at 11:30 if I can, or maybe I will go right to my break after I pick up a patient, you know, and then I will come back and I will do the progress notes, you know, and this is how much time I will have. So yeah, in the beginning, before I knew my routine, my time management was suck. It wasn't good at all. But more I learned every single month, the more I became efficient with my time management. So again, give yourself time. You will make mistakes. I have done stupid mistakes. Like, one of them that I remember now is that I needed to, that was a big one actually. I needed to swab a wound and send the swab down to pathology. Okay, we have a pathology down on the first floor. So I had the form, the referral from the treating team. I took a swab. I put the jar with the swab into a plastic bag, you know, it's a specimen bags that we use, and I've put the form that I have filled in and everything, and I have sent it. After that, obviously, I've cleaned the wound, I debrided the wound, I've dressed it, and everything was done. After about half an hour or so, my team leader comes to me and say, hey, pathology did not accept your swab. I was like, why? And she was like, you didn't put the sticker on the actual swab container. Oh my God. The sticker, it says, it has the name of the patient, it has a date of birth, UR code, and whatever. So I had a sticker, which is usually your bigger sticker that goes on the forms in the blue chart of the patients, you know, on the referral form. But the actual specimen swab jar, you know, it's like a long tube. It needs to have a smaller sticker. You know, like your stickers for your patients has a bigger ones that go in the charts, and you have like a little ones. So I didn't put that little one there, and pathology did not accept it. Even though the referral had the sticker with the details of the patient, they still needed that little sticker on the specimen tube, and I needed to take a new one. And I already debrided the wound, I redressed the wound. It's nothing there else to swab, because the point of a swab is to swipe all those yucky things, all that discharge, before you actually clean up the wound and dress it. So that day I couldn't do it anymore. Obviously the swab needed to be done the next day, and plus to that I needed to ask the treating team, which is another awkward, embarrassing moment, to write another referral for it and explain why the first one didn't work. So like, mistakes like this I've done, and it makes you feel so dumb and so uncomfortable. But you know what? We learn from our mistakes. Yes, it feels uncomfortable and stupid, and you just want to disappear in that moment from embarrassment. But we learn on those mistakes. Believe it or not, but from that day I have never ever forgotten a sticker on my specimens. The last one is the hardest one in my opinion, is feeling lost during the med calls. Unfortunately, as a grad, you will have med calls, okay? Your patients may deteriorate and decline quite rapidly. It could be seizures, it could be chest pain, it could be low VGL, your hypoglycemia and things like that. It could be falls, really bad falls. It could be really low blood pressure, you know. So you will need to press that button. And when you do that, you would have a whole team of doctors coming in. You have your nurses running in, your team leader, your NAM on the ward. Everyone will be in their room, and you as a primary nurse will need to report to them what has happened. Okay, they will grab the charts and they will go through the charts, but they will ask you questions like, hey, what is this patient's here presented with? Like, what's the diagnosis? What happened prior to this med call? What the patient was doing? How was the OBS? Did you check the BGL? You know, what medications were given? Da 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 da. You know, if it's a seizure, you will need to record the time. So once you see someone seizuring, you have to start the time clock to see how long the seizure was lasting, because when the team comes, they need to know how long the seizure was lasting, so they could define what type of seizure it is as well, and if there is any damage was done, whatever. They need to make sure that the patient was turned on a side, the air was watched, you're watching the airway so the person won't choke. That's why it's very important when someone's seizuring to put the person on a side, making sure the mouth is open and nothing is blocking the airway. And you need to put the probe, you need to watch the respiration, you need to watch the oxygen level as well, the SATs. And while the whole medcom is going, you might be scrubbing as well. You might be just putting in every 5 minutes OBS, if the BGL was done, if any stat doses of medications were given throughout the med call. You might be having put in the probes on the human's body just to check the ECG as well during the med call if there is a need for ECG. There is a lot of things need to be done during the med call, and you as a primary nurse will be there doing those things. You know, it could be different things, but you will need to do something. And when I was just new as a grad, I didn't know what I needed to do. I was so lost, I was scared. Like, can you imagine, like, my patient is unresponsive, for example, they are declining, you know, they're nearly dying, you know, and you as a primary nurse, you need to answer all those questions, you need to do something throughout the med call. I was terrified. All what I wanted to do is just like run away from their room and let the experienced team to do whatever they needed to do, because I don't know what to do. Like, I literally don't know what to do. But then, like, in the beginning, I was watching, I was answering some questions, I was stepping inside and I was watching. And everyone on the ward knew that I was a grad, you know, my knowledge is limited, you know, so they were easy on me. The doctors were not judgy as well, you know, it's not a moment to be judgy to anyone. You literally need to save the life of that patient, you know. So I was just stepping aside and I was watching and I was learning, I was observing, I looked at what other people were doing, I was looking at what questions the doctors were asking, you know, how the whole process is going from the start to finish. And I started to learn, I started to pick up. And now during the med calls, I am more proactive. I know what to do. Sometimes I don't, but at least I'm trying to be as helpful and useful as I can. I'm not feeling lost anymore. I'm there to help. You know, you can give me a task and I will do it. I will do it to my best. So yeah, but in the beginning it was very hard. So these are the things that I wanted to share with you guys, something that I didn't know what I was expecting or going into in my grad year, but it's not too bad now. I mean, like, with practice we become better, you know. Yes, the awkward moments are there and it's a lot of them, and you just need to be kind on yourself, give yourself time, don't feel shy to ask questions and ask for help, because you can't expect yourself knowing and doing it all. So always ask for help. It's nothing wrong with that. I always say it's always better to ask than feel sorry. People who have more experience will be there to help you and to guide you and keep your whole experience throughout the grad year safe. If you want, I can record for you a video on tips how to survive your nursing grad year. I will give you advices on how I have done it and what have helped me throughout my grad year. So if you're interested, please leave some comments in the section, comment below. If you have more questions about the grad year experience or anything to do with nursing, feel free to leave your questions in the comment section as well, or you can DM me to my Instagram. My Instagram is here, and also it will be linked in a description box below underneath this video. If you like my content, please subscribe and support my channel. This will help me a lot. For now, thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next videos. Bye.